The Shark Deck.
I'm Jenny Mac with your daily comedy news. I thought I was done with the Chris Rock special, just wanted to move on, but boy, you know I love a good fight. A source told ET Online Will Smith is embarrassed and hurt by what Chris said about him and his family in the Netflix special. Will didn't watch it, but he had people tell him what Chris said. It's everywhere when you look online and on social media. Will and Jada have seen comments about it. The source added, Will apologized to Chris and would like for Chris to let it go. Will has worked on himself and he's banned by the Oscars for 10 years. He feels like that's enough and wants Chris to move on so that he and everybody else can too. The source also told ET that Will Smith is upset that Netflix gave Rock this platform to express his views. Will's also upset that Netflix was part of this and thinks Chris insulting Jada again is below the belt. He's upset that Netflix gave Chris this platform to share these messages and thinks it's distasteful. Meanwhile, a different source on the Chris Rock side said Rock said everything he wanted to say. It was funny, self-deprecating, and thought-provoking. Now, Chris is ready to move on. D.L. Hughley posted a clip of Chris Rock's special. Under that clip, Leslie Jones left a scathing response to one commenter, right? So we following here, there's a special, D.L. Hughley posts a clip, Leslie Jones reacts to somebody commenting about the clip. The comment from the non-famous person was, you gotta let stuff go at some point in your life. This is how young brothers get killed in the streets, talking about something that happened a year ago, setting a terrible example. Leslie Jones chimed in and said, y'all forgot he got slapped in front of the world, yo. His kids, his mama, peers, everyone. I know how you all mother effers would handle that, and he's a comedian. This is his way of expressing it. If he sang, he would write a song, because it's a painful thing that happened. Y'all act like you would be righteous. You are hypocrites. Shut the F up and go sit down. The special caught the attention of hashtag Oscars So White creator April Rain. April said, lots of folks were waiting to see if Chris would say Jada's name during Chris Rock Live. He didn't, but he did call her a bitch, and that seems just as bad, if not worse, to me. He knew what he was doing. It wasn't weird, but intentional. Chris could have picked and sold out any city in America. He wanted to be in Jada's hometown. D.L. Hughley called Rock's performance brilliantly executed and said, if you love comedy, if you're a student of the art, if you're one of the few remaining people that allow for creative expression, then you walked away from this with the same sentiment. Side note, this happened to him, to Chris, and the entire world got to weigh in and talk trash and make jokes and shoulda, woulda, coulda the whole damn thing to death. Other comedians have bits about it. It was an opener for most of us. One person he never heard from about it was Chris. So now that he decides to address it on his time, people have the audacity to say he's bitter. Why is he still talking about it? Let it go. Or the best one, we've moved on. So you got to speak on it, but he can't? Y'all are straight effing trip. Congratulations, Chris Rock. You did the damn thing. I'm going to jump in here. I disagree, Mr. Hughley. I feel like the entire world was like, Chris, we want to hear from you on this. That was one of my challenges with the special, that he made us wait 61 minutes. We wanted to hear from Chris on this. I've got the download numbers. Nobody was saying move on, so I don't know where that is coming from. Everybody wanted to hear from Chris Rock. Was the special a masterclass in comedy? I don't think so. As I've said several times this week, in my humble, unpopular opinion, I think the special was missequenced. The Will Smith stuff should have been about the 20-minute mark, and the Meghan Markle stuff was stronger. But Chris Rock is a goat, and I'm an idiot in a basement with a podcast. What do I know? Whoopi Goldberg is a famous comedian. She said Chris Rock's ability to say what he sees is great. And you know what? This situation is never going to find a really good way to calm down. It's just not. There's no justification for what happened. Whoopi's on the board of governors for the Academy, so she's one of the people that suspended him for 10 years, right? Her theory on all this was, I think it was a lot of other stuff probably built up. I think he had one of those moments where it was just like, just stop. I get it. Not everybody acts the way we'd like them to under pressure. Some people just snap, and he snapped. Quick stop at Gossip Corner. Pete Davidson likely not to face any charges after crashing into a home in Beverly Hills over the weekend. That's from KABC. They report Pete Davidson was reportedly with his girlfriend. I like how they just say with his girlfriend as if like, oh, we all know who his girlfriend is. He has many girlfriends, as if you pay attention to Gossip Corner. This girlfriend doesn't seem to be famous. The KABC article did not name check her. Davidson was reportedly with his girlfriend and allegedly behind the wheel of a Mercedes when he lost control of the vehicle, ran over a fire hydrant, and crashed into the side of a house. Shouldn't this be a bigger story? Davidson was not arrested, according to Beverly Hills Police, and faces no charges as of right now. The important thing is it sounds like nobody was hurt. Quick note on Saturday Night Live. I apologize. Dear Travis Kelce, I apologize. I thought it was insane that you were going to host Saturday Night Live. During the Chris Rock pregame show, Netflix teased the Netflix is a Joke comedy special returning. What I missed at the moment was they didn't announce one for this summer. They announced it for 2024. Netflix is a Joke will officially return to LA May 2nd to May 14th, 2024. Is there a Netflix is a Joke festival this summer? No. Chortle reviewed Just for Laughs London, and this first part really spoke to me. They wrote, "It's a tough job launching a comedy festival in London, given the city has hundreds of gigs a week anyway, whereas Just for Laughs absolutely dominates downtown Montreal for a couple weeks in July. You could easily be in London and be entirely unaware it was on." That's how I feel about the New York City Comedy Festival. It just comes and goes, but New York, there's so much going on here that you don't even notice the festival unless you're part of the festival. So it sounds like the same thing happened in London. Chortle continues, "In fact, you could even be at the O2 complex in Greenwich where it all happened and not be aware. Giant ads are just as likely to be promoting Mickey Flanagan or Peter Kay's forthcoming gigs, which were not part of the festival. Floor-level tickets were £90, although one fan tweeted that he got his for the price of coffee and a cake, suggesting not everyone paid full price." They reviewed a whole bunch of the shows, so that's on Chortle if you want to read that. One show they liked in particular, Craig Robinson. He did a late-night music and comedy mashup, but the reviewer said, "I had a full row to myself, and it was only row G. Shame so many missed a delightful party." Wow, that sounds rough. Sunday night, 2 new Faces of Comedy showcases. One of the hottest tickets and most prestigious gigs of the Montreal event in London was billed as a place to see the future stars of the comedy circuit, although its definition of new faces stretched to Shazia Mirza, now in her 23rd year as a stand-up. Yikes. But the reviewer wrote, "In London, I was told no uncertain terms was just an audition, a new act event that should not be reviewed, and I should never have been given a ticket for." Not that the people who paid $12.50 for a seat had any indication this was anything but a normal gig. So under sufferance, I can give you no review, but I will say the standouts were Josh Glank with his unfailing commitment to silly, unpredictable comedy, and Alison Spittle with her gloriously graphic but cheerfully delivered description of getting a contraceptive coil fitted. Perfect material for 2 p.m. on a Sunday. And the reviewer did hit the wrestling. That was the show I was obsessed with, so let's dive in here. A bold, brash, and stupid spectacle, guaranteed, that closed the festival in an impressive style that not all the preceding 4 days lived up to. The wrestling offers a freeing sense that anything goes, both from the loose improv of the night to the ridiculously overblown caricatures battling in good and evil. Where else could you hear the phrase, "smash her disabled head in," and have it not be a hate crime? Wow. Then came the first unscheduled match with a surprise guest. Greg the Taskmaster Davies took on reigning champ Rosie Daddy Jones. Jones cheated her way to retaining her belt, only to retire hurt from the climactic 8-way battle royale that was to decide the 2023 title. In the main event, Alex, the Raging Horn, entered on a longboat. The ringfluencer, Abby Clark, with her social media team, Phil Wang in the revealing Bruce Lee jumpsuit he wore on Taskmaster, and pros Karen Noir, La Cyclona, and arch-heel, the Prince of Mumbai, Rishi Ghosh. Plus the comedy highlight of the bout, Glenn Morg as a cryogenically frozen 1970s Tory MP defrosted by his manager, the very right-wing comedian Joe Lycett. Chaos ensued. Clark performed a daring high-stakes dive through the ropes. Wang was slammed from the ropes into a ringside table and stretchered away, and Lycett revealed himself not to be a right-wing comedian at all and turned against his capitalist charge. That sounds like a great time. Despite crashing out so dramatically, Wang made a Lazarus-like comeback against the advice of medic Mark Silcox and ultimately took the title. Wow, Phil Wang won the wrestling. That's awesome. I would love to see one of those shows. That sounds like so much fun. The Guardian added, were we to judge by Acaster and Kumar's running joke about low ticket sales for Saturday's flagship event, the Q&A with Ryan Reynolds, the 2023 edition has been only a qualified success. Too bad. Meanwhile, Moontower added even more comedians. Moontower in Austin, April 12th through the 23rd. They have added Howie Mandel. Makes sense. He's like the big boss at Just for Laughs. Andrew Dismukes, Andrea Jin, Kate Willett, Brendan Sagalow, Natalie Palamides, Elizabeth Spears, and Dreamhorse.
Welcome to How to Tickle Yourself. I'm your host, Duff McDonald.
And I'm your co-host, Matt McButter. We'll be talking to people who specialize in different ways of inhabiting their own consciousness, from artists to yoga teachers to scientists. We've even got a professional magician.
We're going to ask them questions like, what is consciousness? Why does it tickle? And what is magic anyway? Is it just card tricks, or is it the fact that your little speck of consciousness is part of a perfect possibility machine?
Find us wherever you get your podcasts and at storicmedia.com.
If you like what I do here, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. I think you might have to get me a hot coffee today. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a cold, and hopefully it's just a cold. Yikes. buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Donald Glover was at the 2023 Writers Guild Awards in New York City Sunday night. He got in a joke about Chevy Chase. Atlanta executive producer Phil Simms was there to receive an honorary award. The award is named after former SNL writer Herb Sargent, who came up with the Chevy Chase hosted Weekend Update. Glover said, Chevy Chase once called Herb one of the funniest writers working in television. Chevy Chase once called me. You know what? This is about Paul. Marlon Wayans spoke to the Hollywood Reporter about his relationship with Will Smith. Marlon said he hit Will Smith up and said, congrats on your Oscar, but brother, I want you to go to therapy. 7 hours of therapy on Monday because you've got some unpacking to do. That's exactly what I said. I don't think you should bury him and cancel him and all that. I think he's dealing with it enough on his own time. But yeah, the very thing he was trying to erase, now you're going to have to deal with it for the rest of your life. You just made it bigger. Now it's about how you process this to do whatever you need for healing personally. Same with Chris. One day they'll get together and hopefully resolve this because we can laugh at it now. We can put it behind us at some point. But for me, we got to look at our heroes and be like, hey, let's stop the cancel culture for a second. How about we get this brother some help? Are you in therapy? Because we don't take care of our mental health the way we need to, especially black people. We don't do that. I go to therapy 2 times a week. This is for my own sanity because I deal with it a lot. We deal with a lot. We have to act like we're not hurting. My mama died. I'm still dealing with the trauma of that, and that was 3 years ago. When you're these idols in people's eyes, we don't have any license to fail, and you saw that man fail. It can happen to any and every one of us under these pressures. He had the worst moment on the best day of his life. He also talked about the current state of comedy, cancel culture, and whatnot. He said, everybody's got an opinion on it. I don't like where society's going, but I will say, just like Chappelle said, as a comedian, you have to draw a line and be unapologetic. I'm sorry you're hurting, but I'm not sorry I told that joke because it's your opinion. So we could tell the same jokes, but in my opinion, through my experience, may be different than a different community. Mine comes from a more sensitive place, depending on the topic, than somebody not aware or not in that community or that topic isn't of interest. They're going to be a lot more callous with their jokes, but it's comedy. That's what our job is. Our job is to tell jokes, period. Some we're going to win, some we're going to lose. We just watched it globally. For a comedian, they tell jokes. It's what we do for a living. You can't be mad at that. It's kind of like if Will's in an action movie and he's fighting some people in the Middle East and Middle Eastern people get mad at him. Why'd you hit that guy like that? It's a movie. It's what I'm supposed to do. He was the bad guy. As comedians, all we're trying to do is make light of whatever we see in front of us, and sometimes you crack the wrong joke. And good news, if you're in Ukraine, Comedy Central has been added to the list of TV channels distributed by the Ukrainian media group 1+1. Unfortunately, this replaces Paramount Comedy, but you can now watch Comedy Central in Ukraine. Oksana Petroshin is the general producer of the TET TV channel and Comedy Central and said, the content of the Comedy Central TV channel has been proven over the years and has made Ukrainians fall in love with it. Therefore, the launch of the TV channel is a response to the request of viewers who more than ever need positive and life-affirming content. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow, I hope.
Hello, I am Mark Francis, host of Palace Intrigue, the podcast that delves into the daily drama of the British royal family. These short daily episodes cover the latest news and scandals involving the likes of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Kate Middleton, King Charles, and the rest. From backroom sources to public controversies, we've got you covered. Whether you're a long-time fan or just curious about the royals, Palace Intrigue is the perfect podcast for you. So join us as we explore the lives, legacies, and dramas of the British monarchy. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of Palace Intrigue.